Go. Hello, everybody. Hi. Yeah, this is the show. No, this is the pre-show. Now, let us know if you can hear me okay. I haven't accidentally not pressed the audio. Yep, I'm good there, and that's all good to go there. That's good. Andy, you're working?
Yeah, it seems to be. I think so.
Okay. We're just waiting for the chatties to say that it's working. Oi, oi. Hopefully we've got a Darren.
Oi, says Inky.
Hopefully we've got a Darren. If not,
There's a Darren.
There he is.
That looks definitely like a Darren to me.
Sounds fine. Darren, we're streaming already, so don't tell me what you're telling me about the chatties before, okay?
Okay. Oh yeah, that was a close one.
Oh, that was literally the gas from my ginger beer. Oh, I must have not let the gases out of the can. I opened it straight away and took a sip, and it just went woo. That was. I don't recommend that for kids trying this at home.
Live on air.
Yeah, it actually made my eyes water a little bit. That's a good one. This is the same ginger beer that I was drinking last week, so there's nothing new there. I've still got heaps of them left, so we shall polish a few more of those off. Beautiful. Actually, really, really nice. Really, really nice. If you ever get allowed to travel again in the future, and you do come to my part of the world, I do recommend the Boston Brewing Company, which are in Australia, that is. Hello to all the chatties. Hello, Darren. Hello, Andy. How's everyone going? We'll do the formal hellos at the start of the show, which is in about 12 minutes. Yeah, about 12 minutes time. Yeah, I'm having a little think about kind of what we should be doing with the show, and I have sort of thought and talked about this before. I'm thinking about maybe we should Twitch stream as well. So, because I know there's a couple of guys who are in the chat that they don't mind the old Twitch stream, and I know Sonic State do it as well. So now for me to do that, it's going to be I'm going to need to develop the show to be more in tune of going in the cloud, and so there's a bit of work to do. So I won't be in the next couple of weeks anyway, for sure. But that's kind of where I want to head to. I want to kind of get the Twitch stream happening, and if I find time, I'll get it done. If not, but just kind of get some, before I decide to go off and make a lot of work for myself. Do you guys, what do you guys feel about that? I know, Darren and Andy, you probably aren't Twitch people, but I could be wrong.
Not right now. I've been wondering about it. I haven't investigated. Well, like I said to you before, I was sort of taking a step back, I think, from media, and it'd be yet another one just to get in the way.
Yeah. Now, what have I
done?
I
haven't got to Facebook yet.
I don't recommend you do, mate. Just keep going the way you are. If you feel the urge to go onto Facebook, just ask Andy, because Andy's pretty new to Facebook. Just ask Andy what it's done to his life.
I mean, I was like you, Darren. I thought, I can't be bothered with all this stuff, looking at pictures of people's dinners and stuff. It just does me head in. So, well, that's because that's how people around me seem to be using it. But when I got onto Facebook in order to get onto this, that Ramsey said that was probably going to be the easiest way to do it. Very, very quickly, I managed to get in touch with a number of people who I haven't seen for a long time, and it's rekindled some old friendships and it's been really quite useful. And you can limit, obviously, who you are, in inverted commas, friends with and stuff. And but it's been cool. And certainly the messenger service that is a very useful little addition, well, quite major addition to it. Quite like that.
Yeah, the messenger's good.
But again, I did realise that I was actually spending an awful lot of time just trailing through stuff and looking at stuff, and even just on the synth related stuff and music related things, which I'd got in. I thought, right, it's just time to take a little step back. So I've deliberately, trying to not use it during the week, if you get me.
Yeah.
Martin Turner said, "Ditch the Twitch."
Anyway, because ditch the Twitch.
Okay, now I'm just setting up cameras while you guys are talking about Facebook. Let's just have a look. Are we happy with that view? So you can see the desktop synth, and you can see some Eurorack stuff above it. And if we need to, I can zoom. Probably, whoa, too far. How far can we zoom?
How far can you go?
It does a 20, it's a 20, wow, we can go right into those. Oh, it's starting to go out of focus now. So maybe if I manually focus, will that? Oh, yeah, it does. Yeah. So we can read all the CV labels on there. Okay, yeah, we're good. That's good. All right. That's what we need.
What you munching, Darren?
I've not had anything to eat.
Sounds like you're whinging again, Darren.
Golden Wonder. Oh, yay.
I've been up since 4:45.
Oh, jeez. It's like as if it's a hard thing happening, getting up at 4:45. It's not that bad. Just kidding.
And that was the last time I had something
I
to
do
eat,
pretty much every day.
So you came straight from work and jumped straight in that chair and press a button or something, basically, did you?
Not far off. I mean, I had a bit of time, but I was editing a video. I was waiting for it to render, and I thought it's got 5 minutes to render before the show starts. And luckily, it just finished as the show started. That's why I was a few seconds late.
Ah, so you're busy. Well, anyway, that's good.
It's for the track tomorrow.
There's a heap of chatties in here. Let's have a look at them, see if that works. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Now, there's one thing that I kind of talked to you guys about off air last week, Andy and Darren. You probably remember me talking about it. One thing I've noticed is there's definitely lower numbers when we're actually doing the live stream. And at the end of the show, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining about numbers or anything because it's not what it's about. So I'll put that one out there first. But what I've noticed is that because you guys are in pretty much just about summer and you've had some pretty decent weather of late. I don't know what it's like today, but last Saturday, a few people that I spoke to in Europe and different parts of the UK, they were saying that was a pretty warm day, and a lot of them actually were out because it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon where you guys are, and it's about 3 o'clock in most of Europe. So most of them were out and about. They just, it's a nice day. Why would they want to be indoors watching this stupid idiot on YouTube talk about synths? So I mean, I got that. So that's pretty cool. And then what ended up happening is my show, because I just left it up on YouTube for rewatches, it then gained all the normal views that we get usually within a few days. It got back.
We said that was probably going to be the case when we were chatting about it last week, because it really was. I mean, last Saturday was the first really decent warm day we'd had in ages. Yeah. So it was hardly surprising and that'll have been the same across Europe too. Yeah. It's pretty warm today as well. I think summer's finally landed for us now.
Yeah.
Hooray.
And the other thing too is the interesting thing that I kind of don't really sort of it's not normal for me to hear this, but one guy I was talking to said we don't own air conditioners, and I felt like an idiot because in Australia everyone has an air conditioner because you need it, because otherwise you would just like melt inside if you stayed indoors. And I don't know if you guys realise, but probably 80% of the year. It's, your summer weather here where I am, and I'm running the show sweating and dripping, and the headphones are like, ringing out like a sponge afterwards. It's like that here. I know, and it's horrible. But it's, what we do. And this guy's, talking to me, he's going, we don't own an air conditioner, and you have no idea what it's like being stuck in a studio and you don't have an air conditioner. I'm like, yeah, I do. And they're all whinging about it. So I'm like, no, I get it. I get it. It's not something that you're used to. So... yeah, it's an interesting conversation. We get it so
erratically, this sort of heat, and like you say, I think for the next couple of weeks, if this heat stays, we're going to have a bit of a dry spell. I think you might be a bit low down because people will just be out. It's just, I mean, no one's been out for so long.
And there's also football to compete with as well. There's also, football, the Euro.
I would expect for the next month it might be low.
Yeah, doesn't that finish up soon? The football?
No, it's already started.
It started.
3 weeks.
The
Has it gone
Euros.
for 3 weeks?
Yeah, 4 weeks, I think, the Euros.
4 weeks, is it?
Because the match, because Italy played Turkey yesterday, which was the start of it.
Oh, okay.
So
we don't
it's
hear
gone-
about that
yeah, 4
down here.
weeks.
We hear
No,
about
you
the
won't.
Premier League.
You see.
The Premier League we hear
Well,
about.
expect your viewing figures to be low for about a month then, because everyone will be out in this weather going watching football. The whole of Europe.
I went through university with this guy, and he's a bit of an eccentric sort of computer geeky sort of stereotype. This guy, completely genius in terms of like he could do all the mathematical stuff at university top levels and stuff. He was a complete genius. And whenever I tried to talk sport to him, he goes, "Oh, ball sport." He called it ball sport, and like I loved his terminology because basically he just categorized all the ball sports in one little rapid comment, like ball sport. Oh, that's another ball sport, isn't it? They're all ball sports. What mad people chasing a ball around, and they're spending millions and millions of dollars on it. I thought it was
I think
brilliant.
he's got the G7.
And Inky's got the G7, she has, yeah. So she can't go out for armed guards and military tanks and everything's life as normal in Cornwall, but clearly it's not.
What's a G7? I'm sorry, I don't even actually know what it is.
The G7, it's a big international summit. We've got
right.
presidents. So that's taking place in Cornwall, of all places.
How did they get down there?
Fun.
I'm just
Helicopters, Rans. Helicopters.
Yeah. All environmentally friendly.
It took a month to get down there.
One.
Yeah. It's
You've got Biden down there. You've got Macron. A lot. Everybody.
Macron, Angela Merkel.
Yeah.
All the most important economies except the big ones.
Before we hit the magic button in a couple of minutes, I do apologise. I did advertise that Dean Bridges was coming on. He's actually sent me a message. He sends his apologies to everyone. He'll probably be watching at some stage. So we'll try and get him back on as soon as possible. I know a lot of people actually like to have him on the show because he's got a pretty cool looking studio. And yeah, we do miss him. So if you're watching, Dean, I hope everything's okay, and we'll try and get you on next week. And I did also mention too that we'll be doing a show, well, hopefully it was going to be this week, on mastering. I know it's not mastering this week. I do apologise, but I'm just trying to get some people that I think you guys will respect and it'll enjoy, just instead of just listening to us guys talk about stuff that we don't really fully understand. So it's better if we can get a little bit more
in general, isn't
it? Yeah, that's us in general, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, we're just like you guys, so yeah, that hopefully it's next week. I can't promise it will be. It's literally about trying to sort of, we have a saying in Australia, I don't know if you guys have it in the UK, we're trying to get all the ducks in a row. So yeah,
get all your ducks in a row. Yes, we've got that one.
Yeah, I actually saw an eBay listing the other day with those porcelain ducks that you hang on the wall. I don't know how the hell that came into my feed, but all of a sudden I'm seeing, and now I've been saying all week, get your ducks in a row. It's like an old-fashioned saying. It's crazy. Influenced by social media. There you go. It works. All right, we're going to hit the button, guys. We're going to hit the button. Here we go. CV modules today. Here we go. Hi everyone, Saturday the 12th of June 2021. Can you believe we're almost, we are kind of midway of the year, aren't we? And here we are still doing synthy geeky stuff. Isn't that cool? Hey, good to have you on. This week we're going to be doing a little bit of chat about CV connections on your desktop synth modules. Hopefully this might be interesting for you. And if it's something that you're well and truly, you know everything about it, we might be able to pick your brains. So hang around and do help us out. Because there's a few noobs here, and I always, consider myself a bit of noob when it comes to this sort of stuff. But big hello to everyone, and anyone that's new, big welcome to you. Don't forget, if you are lurking in the background and you don't usually use the YouTube chat thing, do jump in and say hi. We're friendly people. We'll definitely return the favour, and it'd be nice to put a new name and a new face to the channel. And not to mention, we'll say hello to all of the regulars in a minute. But before we go any further, I will say a big hello to Darren. Hi Darren, how's your week been? Thanks for coming along again.
Great. Good week. Good week. Been very warm. Quite a bit of time in the studio. Chester Zoo is 100. Prince Philip would have been 100.
Wow.
Yeah, quite a few 100s going.
Yeah.
And a big track tomorrow. Inky's, DTH versus Inky.
Right.
Big track tomorrow. So
she's excited.
Everybody share this one. Yes, you should be. So it's a sort of a back at you, Inky, for this, because I sent her some samples because she wanted some samples a while back. She messed about with them and sent me back a sort of track as well. And I've stripped that track and DTH versus Inky. So we'll see that tomorrow about 4 o'clock-ish. Good video. She sings on it, sort of to a degree.
I'm excited.
And she's actually on the video as well.
Yep, definitely excited.
On the video. So
beautiful.
Yes. So share this track tomorrow, everybody. Share it. Other than that, just an okay week. Fine, nice and warm. Can't complain. Apart from the fact that I don't get enough time in the studio. Other than that, it's been good. Yeah,
I noticed that you've received a certain item that is displayed in your void above your head there. Now, for those who are playing along at home, Darren.
He said void above your head, Darren. Void above your head, not void in your head.
Just
so you in it.
Just in case you got confused.
There's 3 digits there with a little sort of yellow. Now, Lisa might have had something to do with that, but let's just tell everyone what it's about. Darren has actually managed to do 100 shows with his show, and that's what that's all about. I do feel sorry for him. It's a bit of an effort, actually, to be honest. Big thanks anyway, mate, for sticking around that long. That's the old-fashioned century, or the ton, if we'd like to call it. Well done, mate. Congratulations on the 100.
Let's hope we can get to 2. Let's put a 2 on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll give it a good hard crack, as we say in Australia. Right. So let's everyone in the chat room give it a nice sort of emoji applause. Put the hands there, the high fives, just to say thanks to Darren, because he does this out of love, and we all appreciate him. Beautiful. I haven't got a cake though, Darren, so I do apologise. I thought your birthday was more important, but well done, mate. I'm going to jump over to Andy now to say a big hi to him. Andy, how's your week been? Thanks for joining us again.
Oh, always my pleasure. Well, the week started with a crisis.
Oh, yeah.
Something broke that desperately needed to be fixed. And it broke because I indulged one of my sort of guilty pleasures, and that guilty pleasure is a McDonald's cheesy bacon flatbread. So on the way to work on Monday morning, I called in at a McDonald's and got a cheesy bacon flatbread and a nice white coffee. And on the second bite of the cheesy bacon flatbread, my bridge that I've got here failed and fell out. And I was on my way. I was virtually at work. I thought, God, what am I going to do? I've got to teach these kids with a blooming great big gap in my teeth. So I was sitting there whistling at them, talking like an old man. And I've been like that all week because I could only get it actually fixed yesterday. Impossible to get emergency appointments when you're not in pain. So I managed to get a cancellation and have it reattached yesterday, or else I'd have been cancelling today because there's no way I'd have been able to do this talking through this. So it's all been mended and I'm back to. So other than that, I've been spending this week actually not writing any new music, but going back over loads of old bits. Like I told you about these cassette recordings, which I've digitized and been trying to, sort of in preparation for today, really, but trying to master them for whatever that means. I have no mastering software other than Audacity. But I've been sort of messing about with things in that and just seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, how much compression you can add or not. Does it work? Does it sound good? Does it make it sound worse? EQing bits, trying to take, and the lesson that I learned in all of this is that I'm rubbish at it. Really, I can't. I go through all these processes And you go and you think, oh yeah, this is good, and then you go back and listen to the original recording that you've done nothing with, and it sounds better than the one that you've titted about with for the last hour and a half. So it's been a very strange sort of experience going through this. That I think you need to know what you're doing. Really, you need to know how to make how to use the tools to make it do what you need it to do. Sometimes I don't even realize what I need to do with a track. And that's that's something that's a little, my skill set hasn't got to that level yet. So yeah. So but anyway, I think the recordings that I think I've got to the point where I think they're better, they're cleaner, they're a more even level. So I've got sort of 12 tracks at the minute which I've gone through, and they will be up on Bandcamp at some point when I've managed to create some interesting artwork. Not another one that's not my forte. Sasquatch has just said some raw recordings about it. Well, actually, Sasquatch, I think you're dead right with that. I think when you start messing about, you perhaps lose a bit. But
yeah.
Anyway, I've done what I've done. So they should be up by next week for people if they're interested.
Well, believe it or not, Andy, believe it or not, what you've just told us is exactly what we've probably all gone through, and we're probably still going through it. And I don't want to sort of dissuade you, because I think it's the opposite. That is all part of the mastering learning, and no one is probably perfect at mastering anyway. I don't know if you guys watched the Rick Beato video during the week where he did the Seal song, and to me that was his best what makes this song great episode I've actually ever seen. And I mean, obviously the fact that he rings Seal in the middle of the show, it was awesome. But the point about mastering that he made, which I thought is something that we all should listen to, and that is that there's probably no mastering at all in that original recording. He made it in 1994, and I think that's something that especially the younger generation need to start to realize, is that if musicians can actually play and play good, and they've got emphasis and they've got emotion, and they can do light and shade and all that sort of stuff, there is absolutely no need to compress the hell out of tracks or instruments. So I think it was a really good point, and something that we're never too young or too old to be schooled on. So big hats off to Rick for that. Anyway, he's doing all right, old Rick, isn't he? Hey, getting a couple of mil on his YouTube channel. He's doing pretty good. Right. Okay, so if you
jump for a compressor.
Yeah, well, just be careful of making sausages. That's all I say, and that's not the ones on the barbecue. Right, I think we should say hello to the chatties, because they're just as important guests on the show. Big hello to all the chatties. I'm just going to do a real quick overview. I'm going to go backwards this time. So Wigoo's there. Big hello to Wigoo. And we've got Pete. Big hello to Pete. I don't know if you watched last week, Pete, but we stole one of your memes, so hope you enjoyed that. Steve Elbows is there. Martin Taylor. Sasquatch. Inky's there, as we said. We've also got Native VS, Azio, Head is there. Big hello to you guys. And I'll scroll a little bit, see if I've missed anyone. Usually I don't miss too many people. There's actually not that many today, so it makes it nice and easy. Let's go all the way to the top and find out who was first. I think it might have been... Oh, Mike Delik's there. Big hello to Mike. Yeah, Atto Z's there. Look, I'm going to scroll past. There might be a few people in there that aren't talking right now, but first person was Native VS. There you go. He's got the Guernsey this week. It's a bit like when you do Tour de France and you wear the yellow blazer. He can wear the yellow blazer this week for being first in the chat. Well, anyway, that's what my YouTube thing says anyway. So big hello to you. And as I said before, if you guys are lurking in the background, jump in and say hi. We're not going to bite. Definitely have fun. I'm just listening to my dog doing stupid things again. Now, first things off the ranks is going to be our normal segments. So we're going to do Funny Side. Hope you enjoy it. We're going to scour the bottom of the internets. See what we can find up. Now, let's dig this one up first. Yes. Confucius say, man who pushes synth down mineshaft get tone of A flat minor. There we go. Who likes the Confucius jokes?
My new question.
There was another Confucius joke.
Throw a young one down, you'll get a minor.
Yeah.
Mate, oh, it
We've
doesn't
got
matter.
we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful.
Yes.
There was another one that I could have used, and I definitely, I'm glad I didn't, because someone mentioned it in the synth memes chat, and they got absolutely hammered it. So I'm glad it was a little bit sexist and misogynistic.
Well,
So because some of those Confucius jokes can go back at probably a good 50 years or so. All right, going on to the next one. What else did we find here? We found this one. Synth repair shop. We can repair anything. But please knock hard on the door, because the doorbell doesn't work.
it's a broken DX7.
Yes. Isn't that brilliant? This one's good. Hey? I'm looking.
Quite like that. I do the pedal like that.
If anyone's got one of those they can sell me, I definitely wouldn't mind that. At the moment, my ego's on huge and my talent is on garage. So just have a look at the left-hand option on the chops.
Yeah.
That really got me laughing. They did a guitar joke there. Beautiful.
Slow mine to the left there.
And then there's this one. I thought this one will get you guys all really happy. In 2019, you buy your first synth, and then in 2021, you still don't know anything about it, so you start a YouTube channel anyway. You're looking at him. There he is, this guy. Hey! I don't know anything about synths, so let's start a YouTube channel. Woohoo! Still don't know anything. Trying my hardest. Gentlemen, what was your favourite this week?
I like the
Doorbell,
pink
I think.
pedal. That was funny for me.
Well,
The doorbell was
yeah.
good.
Doorbell and the pedal.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Confucius got crickets, didn't it? Yeah. You have to be a little bit more sort of. It's probably a bit early in the day for Confucius, I'd say. There's so many Confucius jokes out there. It's not funny. It's absolutely not funny. Anyway, we shall move on. We got not a lot of news, but we do have a little bit of news. So we can roll the stinger. And that is this week, we have this wonderful bit of news here. Yes, this. What is this? Well, Behringer are at it again with their extremely interesting marketing videos where they don't tell us basically anything, except we're going to be releasing something and here's a tease, but what does it actually mean? Well, yeah. Now, we can only speculate, I guess, because I actually don't know. I'm sure Darren and Andy don't know. We can only go by what's been rumoured. When will we find this out? Well, we only have to wait about 3 days, apparently, so it's not that long to wait. And I'm sure we've got other things to do than wait anyway. But I actually think it might be maybe their DAW. I don't know. It seems to be related because you've got those icons and they look like DAW-ish kind of icons. But it could be a synth. I don't know. It could be a synth. It's a good discussion anyway.
Right? That bottom right thing underneath the traffic lights, well, the chord symbol or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That looks like an FM algorithm, an FM operator algorithm.
Yeah, it does.
There's a cowbell, there's a hi-hats, there's a
Is it a bit like a workstation type thing, a bit like a force?
It does, maybe. It could be a sampler.
That would be interesting.
Could be the sampler thing that they were teasing us. It could be, it could be a digital synth, or it could be a DAW. I think those 3 or 4 ideas are probably going to be on the money. But anyway, I just thought we'd bring it up because it's
We'll
always
find out in 3 days, but
We're
we
gonna
won't get
find
it
out.
for 3 years.
Yeah. Darren, nothing like a cynic. What do the chatties think it is? Barrage band. That's a good one. I like that one.
That was a good one from
VS.
Native, yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's called. Yeah, it's going to be called Brains, isn't it? So, Future World Machines says he could use some. I think I completely lack them. So yeah, I'm with you there, mate. There's granular drums, waves, chords. Yeah, exactly. It seems to be
their version of braids.
Could be, yeah, could be. I don't know if it's that simple. But yeah, it might be. Maybe it's a, I don't know, maybe it's a module. We haven't thought of that, have we? It could be, maybe it's a Euro. They have done Euro rate modules. Maybe it's a Euro module. It could be a desktop synth. It could be a synth with a keyboard, or it could be a DAW, or it could be a sampler. So yeah, we're all kind of just really throwing tomatoes at the screen really at the moment, aren't we? Hit the RD999. More like the, yeah, well, anyway, we won't bag them too much. Look, the RD9 has been released through, what is it, 349 euros, I think the price is, the RRP price. So you can order that now, apparently, or pre-order it. Steve thinks it's going to be a desktop unit. Yeah. But a lot of people are saying DAW. I think that seems to be the biggest thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, enough about that.
DAW sounds a bit odd, though, isn't it? They're going to take on Logic, Ableton, and Cubase. And,
but how they take it on, is the question, isn't it? Where do they go down their well-trodden path route, which might be to just literally clone something that we've already seen, or whether they actually come up with something innovative, which they've done both. So, like, you look at the Wing mixing console, that's quite innovative and unique, and they've done some synths that are kind of along that line as well. So we don't know. We will find out in 3 days, I guess. I don't think any of us are that excited, but you know, there's not a lot of news, so we've got to hang our hat off something anyway. We probably should all be out on the beach drinking ginger beers instead. But anyway, we're here, so let's plod along. If anyone's got any other news they want to chat about, do sing it out in the chat. I just kind of thought there wasn't really any sort of hardware news that was worthy, but we can talk whatever. Next segment is Price Watch. Yes, not so much eBay scammers. It's kind of getting a little bit less these days, the eBay scammers. It's kind of sad, actually. I do enjoy the good old eBay scam. The first one is to get yourself a cheap Roland Juno 106, working but could do with the service. Now,
clean.
This guy must have been a painter. What do you reckon? It must have been a painter. So he's got a lot of masking tape happening there. Not sure what the masking tape is doing. Maybe he wrote things on it and never bothered to take it off. That stuff. Yeah. If you leave masking tape on something for more than about 6 months, it literally just dries up and it's impossible to get off. It's a nightmare. So if that's a few years old, that's gone. Anything underneath that will be destroyed if you try and pull that off. Could do with the service, yeah. I didn't actually get a chance to read the listing to find out what type of service it could do with. But look, £780
£780 service
is actually not too bad in terms of price, right? It's just what you're getting for the £780. And as we progress, you'll see what I mean about these sort of things. So that's the first one anyway. One of the biggest issues with
why would you stick anything on the keys? What a daft thing to do.
Wouldn't it feel horrible when you're playing it, wouldn't it?
Hit this key for song number 1. Hit this key for song number 2. Nah, I mean, there's only 12 of the bloody things. It can't be that hard to learn what order they go in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No.
I'm having a rant.
No, some
you say that, I still hit keys with one finger.
Some young people need to know what keys to press. So it's fair enough, but Andy, that's your prerogative. You're allowed to. Hey, you guys probably would have noticed that a few years ago I did a repair video on a Roland Gaia synthesizer when I bought it from a pawn shop, and every C key was orange, painted orange, and it wasn't just painted; it was painted with orange nail polish. So it was a nightmare, and I couldn't get it off. So I just got the replacement keys to fix it. Anyway, we should go back to...
So that somebody could identify the C key.
I mean, how hard's that? But yeah, obviously they... yeah. How about this one? Roland W30.
Hooray!
Roland
my
W30.
investment's gone up. Amazing.
And it's got a flight case as well. I got a feeling I
sold
might have
mine for
shown this.
2,900.
I'm starting to forget whether I've shown stuff or not, so I have to be a little bit more organised in my folder.
We've definitely not. We've not seen that. I would definitely have commented on the W30, given that I own one, and I would not have thought that was anything approaching a sensible price. Silly. Even half of that amount of money would be too much, even for one in good condition. Because although it's a great machine, a great keyboard, and it has a great heritage as a sampler and an amazing sound too, it really is. It's an old machine. Are you really prepared to shell out £2,000 just to have an 8-bit, a 12-bit sampler sound? Well, if anybody wants to buy mine for £2,900, I'll sell it you.
Well, I'm out because it doesn't post to Australia. But looking at the auction, it looks very successful with 0 bids. Yeah, you're doing well. Let's get some advice from this guy. No, but it's got a flight case. The flight case is worth $2,000 and $900 for the synth. All right, moving right along. Here we go. Boom. Who wants to get a Universal Audio 175B compressor limiter? I certainly don't, but I mean, look, if you feel bad, you could always just wire me that amount of money. I'd be quite happy. But anyway, that is a lot of money for a desktop. Sorry, a rack-mounted unit. I know these things are actually really quite sought after, and it is true. They definitely command a bit of coin. That's for sure. But I'm not sure if it's $13,000 US for that sort of thing. Now, someone in the chat might actually agree or disagree, but geez, the postage on that's a bit steep, isn't it? Hey.
Well. It's actually, although that's all in German, it's coming from Burbank, California. I wonder why it's all in German.
I believe it was sent in to me from someone who came from Germany, and I forget who it was. And if it was you and you're in the chat, please do claim your entry. I forgot to write down on the file who it was from. My bad. Anyway, there you go. Andy, if you want to get into mastering. There's $13,000 US dollars.
I think I'd invest in Isotope first.
Exactly. All right, what else we got? We got one more, and this is kind of where I was leading to with buying stuff from eBay. Hey, look at that.
Oh, that. No.
Now,
if that happened in transit.
This happened in transit, apparently. Now, this does lead me. Excuse me, I've got ginger beer burping happening here. This does lead me to an article that I wrote a while ago now, actually. And for those who have known me for a long time, probably may actually remember this, but in December 2013, this is me, by the way, this is not someone else. I actually ordered a synth on eBay, and I have been scammed. And I was really excited to order a second-hand 1980s Korg synthesizer. And to my delight, as I said there, I won the auction, and I was really, really excited by it all. But I started noticing that something might have been wrong because the seller actually failed to send the item. And so what I did is I started getting quite, annoying to the seller and started badgering them. And I lodged a dispute. And so what eBay did at the time, I don't know if they still do this, is they actually forced the seller to send the synth. So it wasn't so much a scam as opposed to what I was actually getting. And let's have a look. Oh, isn't it a thing a bit? Oh, it probably would have been okay if it was just that problem. But God, look how dirty this thing is, eh? But let's keep going. It was rusted. It was cracked. It was completely filthy. Like it had, I actually got this thing. It did come all the way from the United States to Australia. And I got this thing in the box. There was no wrapping in the box. Absolutely, completely, like just floating in the box like anything. But you can just see, look, the condition it was in. And that was the way they packed it in the box. So I've got picture of the box there. And there's all bits and pieces just floating in the bottom of the box. Yeah, there you go. There's a picture. It had a coin and a badge, and it's like someone had picked this up from a tip and thought, I'll chuck this on eBay and see what I can get for it.
Did you ever get it going?
So what I ended up doing is I filed a dispute with eBay because this is the original picture that they sent me on the eBay listing. And you can see that it's absolutely nothing like what the synth looks like. That's what the synth looks like. And that's what the original picture looked like. So it was a scam, absolute scam. But what was interesting is most of these scams that you get is that you probably just don't get anything sent to you. Whereas this one was quite interesting because I actually did receive the synth. It was the actual synth that they claimed it was going to be, but it was just wasn't as described. That was probably the biggest thing here. So yeah, that was a bit of interesting. That article's on my website if you want to have a bit of a closer look at it. But it's, yeah, it happens to all of us.
Do you want to do a comparison then, Rans?
Oh yeah, go for it. You got yours there, have you? Here we go.
There you go. I wouldn't pretend it's in perfect working order. In fact, I've no idea if it works at all. It must be 20 years since this thing was even switched on. But yeah, so there's a.
Just keep that there, Andy. Go back.
Heavy.
Yeah, they were built really, really strong. But just keep it like that. Keep it like that, where you've got the joystick there. Yeah. And I'm just gonna. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you. I actually did receive this thing, so that's why I took the photographs of it. But have a look at the difference. That's the corner that you were just showing. It was all cracked and rusted, and
mine's a little bit mucky.
Yeah,
It's a damn good clean, this thing, actually. To be
honest, I actually paid quite a bit for that too on the eBay listing too at the time. It was worth.
It's a 6,000 VS.
Right. Yeah. DW 6,000. Yeah. It was the same as the one I was showing on the eBay listing. Let's have a look at what the chatties were talking about. See if they were amazed or not amazed or falling to sleep. Yeah. So yeah, just when I do show my price watch or eBay scam segment, it does come from experience. And the whole reason why I do it, it's 90% for a laugh, but also 10% educational, isn't it? Really. It's just, we're not, the people that watch this show, we're not stupid. We've all either had it happen to us or we've learnt through other people's stories and that. So I think these days it's a little bit less likely to happen. But I still do hear people having issues, and I showed a photo of that just before. So that was a guy who posted on a forum of the result of what happened to his, was it a JD800, that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what happened to his. You would have actually cried if you got that in the mail like that. That would have made you cry. Seriously. They're a beautiful synthesizer. To see it like that, that is just horrible. Horrible. Whoever did that, shame on you. That's what I'm saying. Shame on you. So yeah, I can't remember the name of the guy who had that happen to him either. That's terrible. So yeah, there's our segments. Now we do have one more segment. Let me just get everything happening here. I just got to get my thing up. Here we go. Rolling the stinger. Boom. Yes, another episode of Ransy's Rant. Yes. Well, not my rant, but people send in rants. Now, we had quite a lot come in. Yay, this week. It was good. It looks like it's catching on. Everyone likes to have a good whinge. Nothing wrong with a good whinge, is there? So we had a few, and most of these are coming in on the Discord channel. So the first one was from Eddie. Eddie, who is Eddie Garcia. You see him sometimes in the chat. He's not here, I don't think, at the moment, but I think he's probably working. But he was saying he doesn't think that anyone will sympathise with him. But things that bug him a lot is software, because he feels that we are forced to pay a premium price. This is what Eddie said, we're forced to pay a premium price, but in reality, we are just glorified beta testers. He's got this view. I kind of agree with him here. Every piece of software that he buys, he feels it's unfinished, rushed out the door so that they can sell it again, so that they can actually add a version num to it the next time and fix the bugs. It's a good point. He might have some evidence there. Not to mention the new retail format that many soft companies are pushing towards, starting with Pro Tools all the way to Roland Cloud. It's bad enough, in my opinion, in Eddie's opinion, I should say, that you don't get a hard copy of anything that you buy anymore. And we all love to reinstall things, and we're trying to find the download folder that we downloaded it from somewhere. But the fact that you spend months, years paying for something that you will never actually own sounds preposterous to Eddie. What do you guys think about that? That's a good rant, isn't it?
Yeah. No hard copies of things. It's just, that and subscriptions. I'm just not a fan of them. Well, I don't. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a subscription, but I think they should always have a buy it fully, and you don't have to keep you don't have to run the subscription. So I can see a reason for having subscriptions if you just want to use something for a month and then that's it. Fair enough. But in general, I'm not a fan of them. And not having a hard copy, like everything's all download 200 gigs or something now. You don't get your DVDs or any hard copy or anything. You just download it all, and it's like, no. What happens if it all goes pear-shaped and I want to just reload it without having to find it on the web or find wherever?
Well, you see, you have a license, don't you? You've got a license, and then you can download it again. Except when you try to do that, your license doesn't work. Your license is out of date, or the website which is hosting the license has gone offline. And I'm with you, Darren. I think I know that hard copies of software is probably a thing of the past. I mean, particularly now I've just bought a computer that doesn't have a CD or a DVD drive, which was a bit of a shock to me at that point. It's like, oh wow, look at that.
Still have USB drives.
So you do. You could send it on a data stick and put it in. I agree. I think that's probably a better way of doing things because they're not expensive, are they? And I also feel if you've paid full whack for a piece of software, if you paid the full price, I mean, let's say like £350 for the full version of Ableton or Cubase, that you should get every single version thereafter once you've registered as having bought the full working software, because you've made a significant investment, and then to be told that you've got to pay an extra £100 to download version 11 or 11A or 11.1.23, it just is ridiculous. That should be available to you by default because you've paid already. You get a software update for a synth. I mean, like how many new things have come for the MPC that are just free? You just plug it in, download it. They're not asking you for money for those things. And I think that the DAWs and similar things should be the same.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I've got a kind of split opinion about this. I kind of understand and kind of agree with what Eddie's saying and what you guys are saying as well. And I think there's definitely some examples of where those points are true. But there's the other side of it too, like guys like Dave Spears and G4 Software and the small boutique sort of people who are writing and putting countless hours behind some of the gear that they make. And when they actually do release whatever it is that they've made, like for example, we'll use the GeForce one as an example. That is a class piece of gear in terms of software. It is really, really classy, and he hasn't asked for a hell of a lot of money for it. So they're banking on it's a volume business model. So they're banking on the fact that he hopes that a lot of people will buy it. But if only a small handful of people buy it, they've lost. They've lost money. They've lost hours. It's out the door. So there's that side of it. And I don't think that particular company, GeForce, are kind of in this. So I'm not putting them in the same boat as this. So, in my opinion, they're free from this discussion. I'm just giving them as an example of where it can be done correctly. Now, I'm kind of in agreement with what Eddie's saying with Ableton. I don't think Ableton Yeah, I'm not a big fan of their software licensing model. Now, I do actually really like their software, and I'm a big fan of Ableton Live, and I have been using their software for years, and I've given them my money. I do hold off on getting every single iteration of release that they get. Usually I'm about two or three releases between purchases.
Yeah, I'm still on 9.7.
Yeah, only because I don't feel that they make a massive change each time they bring a release out. Some people will disagree, but it depends on the features that floats your boat. The business model that I absolutely can't stand, and I do apologize for this, but I don't like the iZotope business model. I'm sorry, iZotope, you make some really, really good software, but I don't like having to pay a lot of good money and then having to pay it again when you release a new version. And I know it's slightly less when you do the upgrade. You've got this upgrade license. Arturia do it as well. But I don't think to me, it's not worth the amount you're asking for. So that's my opinion, and you disagree, whatever. That's just how I feel. Now, there's another example of way software is licensed, and for example, the streaming software that I'm using right now, they actually charge really quite a high price to buy the license, and then all they do is they ask you for a small, like $50 US a year. Or I think it's $60 US a year. And then if you pay that every year, you go under their support plan, and that includes any updates that they give you. Now, you don't have to do that. You can buy their software, and then you get the first 2 years of any updates that come out for free. And then after that, you're stuck at the last version when that 2 years runs out. That's a more of a fairer business model, I feel, because they're saying, look, it's worth 2 years of our development and all the development we've had in the past, 2 years of future development, I meant to say. I think that's kind of a more fairer business model. But yeah, so some of these other ones I'm not a fan of. Yeah, good, definitely a good rant, and I think we should get some decent comments in the chat with this one. So I think there'll be all sorts of opinions about this. I mean, computers and phones are not much dissimilar to this argument as well. I mean, technically, when you buy an Apple iPhone or a Samsung, Android phone, in a way, you're kind of the way that they package these things. You're kind of sort of forced to update these every 2 to 3 years, aren't you? There's a lot of money now for these phones, so it's kind of the same thing. They make it so that the software doesn't really run that well. The latest software on the older models. So you're kind of stuck. You have to upgrade, otherwise you can't really run the latest software, can you? So what have we got here? We've got it's just truncating off the side of my screen, so I'm going to have to look at another screen here. So Martin Taylor's saying he still thinks software is just rearranged recordings set to clicks. So stereo, all the sounds the same, suffering plugins for hours, switch on hardware, twiddle dials, and hey presto sounds. Good point, mate. Absolutely good point. As long as it doesn't ask for a firmware update, you can always not do them as well. Someone mentioned something about Bitwig before. Yeah, I think Mac did. Mac, do you want to just say that again about Bitwig? I think it's scrolled off the screen now. I believe
I think somebody disagreed with him though.
I think that they've got some sort of model where you get it all for life or something. I can't remember what they were saying. Anyway, Steve Elber is saying the one bit of software I paid once for and had major updates for free for more than 10 years is a 3D sculpting software called ZBrush. Yeah, so there are good examples out there in the world. Now, some people disagree with me with iZotope. That's fine. And some people are saying Waves is a bad model. It's okay to have your opinion. Your opinion's good.
Presonus is okay. I will, Omnisphere. I'll big them up.
Which one was that, Darren? Sorry, I didn't hear the first bit.
Omnisphere. I think that's been okay. I don't, because they've done some fairly big updates and you don't have to pay for them.
Yeah, their updates have been like if you paid for Omnisphere like 5 or 6 years ago, you would have had some amazing updates for free. So
Yeah,
whoever bought that,
Spectrasonics have been good at
Yeah, that's definitely a good example.
I've got almost. Yeah, like you say, there's some good ones and then there's some bad ones. It's just that it's usually the case that the bad one is the one that you want the software for.
Yeah. Look, one of the problems with computers is that if we are in that software realm and we're happy with our setup, we have to almost kind of snapshot our setup in a way so that nothing ever changes from that point. And you can't really do that these days. They make it so impossible for you to not update. So you might update something like your browser or something small, but you don't think that's destructive to anything. And then all of a sudden something else breaks and you don't realize it until you open it and use it. Because things, use APIs or a sort of routine or something from somewhere and it breaks something else. It's kind of crazy. It drives you mad. Working in the IT industry, you get this all the time. If you want your developer to keep making software updates, they need to continuously make money. This is true. This is what Native VS is saying. Thus, the paid updates. And it's a subscription model. We understand, mate. We do. We do understand it. But there is also a value. This is kind of the opinion that differs between each person in the world. What someone values is different between person to person. So what I value in terms of what I'm willing to spend money on to what I get, it might be different to you. And that is because you might use it more than me, or you might use all the features and I only use part of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm not getting the value out of what I'm spending, but you might be. So it's all a personal and subjective thing, isn't it? But I do agree. They have to make money. So there's no doubt about it. They have to make money. But there's two trains of thought there. They can make money on new users as well, and they can make a little bit of money on keeping loyalty. So there's a question about loyalty too. Do you reward loyalty or do you punish loyalty? Which one do you want to be? Because some of these software companies are punishing loyalty, and they're doing it because they know they can get away with it. So yeah, it's definitely a good rant. So well done to Eddie. What do you guys think of that rant this week? It's got them talking, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, they're balancing on a very, very fine line between doing one thing and then they're hated, or doing one thing and then it's good. So it's like you've got to find that line that everybody, well, not everybody, but most people are going to like. But yeah, good rant. I'll have to get onto a micro USB one at some point.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll definitely do that. I mean, I've already done video on that anyway with my Archery video, but yeah. There was a couple of good examples of what software companies are doing right. And Darren, you mentioned Omnisphere or Spectratronics, and I mentioned G4 Software. So there's a couple of good ones doing the right thing out there. And I'm not saying some of the others that I mentioned aren't doing the right thing either. They are, in a lot of respects, doing really, really good work. Just some, questionable money-making decisions. But you got to remember too, like there's musicians out there that absolutely make squillions of dollars, and they wouldn't even care how much a Moog 1 costs. And there's musicians like me who make zero, and we do it purely for the love, and will never amount to anything. And so any purchase decision that we make, it's our own life savings. It's that personal money. It's not like a business decision. So we aren't in that position where we can go, we can write it off on tax, or we can, So it really, this is what I'm saying, opinions will differ depending on your personal situation. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see when the chatties are still talking about it. Yep. There we go. And that brings the next flame war discussion, hardware versus software almost, doesn't it? Watch everyone start arguing with each other about that one. All right.
It all depends on what you're doing.
I reckon so. Yeah, I reckon. Oh, well done, Eddie. Anyway, good rant. So if you do have a rant, don't forget to chuck it in. I'm gonna keep this one happening on Discord, I think, because I think it's a good place to be. There it is, Discord. bit.ly/Ramsey Discord. If you haven't joined Discord yet, do so. Do so. That's free. We don't buy it. I wonder why that went black then. That was a bit weird. Okay, now we are onto this segment now, aren't we? This one, where we can do control voltages. Yay! Woohoo! I should have almost we should have like another little sort of stinger for this, shouldn't we? But nah, it's all right. We are good. We are good. Right. So control voltages. What I think is interesting, why this came up. So someone asked me about this on probably one of my YouTube videos and said, nobody, like you get these people who make these really uneducated comments like, nobody ever does a video on control voltages on desktop modules. Like that's the sort of comments I get. Like the other day I had another one, was like a MX1 video, and it said, nobody ever does a video on the sequencer up the top of the MX1 mixer. And I'm like, I spent like 3 seconds in YouTube, did a search, and found probably 20 videos on it after this person made this claim. But anyway, no one knows how to use search. But anyway, I thought, no, it's a good idea. It's a good idea, not because we need to have all the people who are in here that absolutely know everything about synths learn how to do CV. This is more just we as a group can show what are some good things that we can put these to use. And maybe as a group, not necessarily just me on my own, but maybe as a group we can, we can have a play with these, right? And we can play with this and see what can come out of it. Like, let's put some things together, and you never know. You just never know what eventuates. That's kind of the whole purpose of this. So now what I might do is zoom out a little bit.
Can you send CV via the internet runs? And don't talk about DC coupling, because that'll fry my brain.
No, the answer is no. But the answer is...
I know it's no.
But the answer is...
Theoretically, yes. But
theoretically, yes. Yeah. If you found a voltage in a network cable, then you could do something with that voltage. So technically you could. But we're not going to go there, because that's going to start the internet breaking. All right, I'm using the Pro One, and I'll tell you why I'm using the Pro One.
You can send MIDI though, can't you?
You definitely can send MIDI. There's actually browsers that will do web MIDI right now. In fact, you've probably even updated. You've probably even updated something, Darren. You've probably updated something already.
So you could send CV then across.
Well, yeah, but don't forget CV is not MIDI, so MIDI needs to be converted back to CV. Does that make sense?
Well, so yeah, but if you had a Bafako VCM on one side and you'd be able to send it across them, wouldn't you?
Mm. Oh, absolutely.
So I could play with my module and control your soft synth.
Well, you could actually use this YouTube video that we're doing right now to control CV on a synth, because don't forget CV is control voltage, right? But you can also use audio as control voltage as well. You can actually use an audio signal as control voltage. Mm. So, there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's definitely the way out there. Anyway, let's get to this. I've decided to use the Pro One. Look, I could have used the Model D. I could have used I definitely decided not to use the Neutron, because I thought it was a bit too complex for a sort of basic thing with that matrix on the right-hand side. I could have used that. I could have used the MS-101, which is over there. But I thought, no, I'll use the Pro One for two reasons. One, Andrew's got one. So, Andy's sitting there with his, sitting next to his modular now. And the other thing too is I like how they're all kind of lined up nicely across the top here. And that makes it kind of ergonomic to just go straight into your Eurorack, which is just here. It's kind of a cool thing, right? So what we'll do is... get the remote control for a start. Where's that gone? Oh, damn it. What I might do first is if I pan up. So you can see on the right there, I'm using the Metropolis sequencer. Now, Darren, you've got one of these, haven't you? Well, Darren's disappeared?
Yes, I was muted.
Sorry. So Darren's got...
No, I was muted.
Yeah, Darren's got one of these. Cool. So he knows how to use this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Metropolis to sequence just pitch and gate in the Pro One. So we'll do that first. That's just a real basic thing. So let's zoom out a bit so we can see how that's done, right? Without losing what we need to do in the
We're
shop.
clocking from Pams.
We're going to clock it from palms. Yep. So palms is our clock. We're going to go out of palms into the clock here, which is this red cable here, right? And then we're going to use the gate cable here. Now, what I've decided to do to make this a little bit more interesting is the gate is going into maths, right? And the reason why I'm going into maths is because I'm using maths as an envelope generator. And literally it's just an ADSR envelope generator, okay? It's nothing, don't worry too much about maths, it's not that complex. A lot of people seem to think it is, but it's not. And then that's coming out of maths, so it's literally going into the channel 1 of maths, coming out of the channel 1 of maths, and into the gate input here. So it's red all the way down, okay? I don't know if I'm going to be able to maintain the color schemes. This it might be a bit of mix of red and yellow and blue and pink and purple, but we'll see we'll see how we go. And then we've got pitch, all right? Now pitch is going directly out of the Metropolis into the oscillator CV input here. So sometimes it says pitch, sometimes it says oscillator, sometimes it says oscillator A, oscillator B, sometimes it says oscillator mix. You're going to get a lot of different terminologies here, guys, but in this particular one, it says OSC CV. And if we hit play, now let's, before we do anything, let's turn off the drums. We don't want to hear drums. Let's just go. And we want to, yeah, that doesn't matter about effects so much, does it? We're going to use the Typhoon just to give it a bit of info. Now, how's the sound level? Is that good or is it too loud?
Might make it a bit higher even, Ron.
All right, so really boring sequence, right? We can muck around with the Metropolis to our heart's content. This is not really what we want to do here. But what we do want to do first is, I want to show you, I mean, that's just basically just doing an 8 bar loop, an 8 bar sequence, right? Then I want to show you what the maths does. It's just a little envelope generator, so we can muck around with. But I'm not using the envelope generators that are built into this desktop synth here, which is just below, you just saw me moving my hands there. So there's your two envelope generators, one for the filter and one for the amplifier on the desk. I'm not actually using these because I am using the VCA sort of gate thing here, and that's controlling that. So there's your first little muck around, right? Now the second thing you've got here is you've got all these modulation sources here. And what I thought we'd do now is something a little bit interesting, and that is that we can zoom out a bit, go up a bit. And I've got the C channel of the planar 2, which is an IntelliGel joysticky sort of, you know, Eurorate module. And you can see if I you can see that that's connected to the cutoff CV input connection on here. Now, for those who are looking at these things and thinking, which one, how do I know this is an input and this one's an output? It's actually pretty simple. They've got little triangles, and you've got a triangle pointing up means it's an output, and a triangle pointing down, it means it's an input. Sometimes it's not so obvious for people, but I just thought I'd mention that. What you can do on this thing is on the actual desktop synth, it's got this thing called keyboard amount. Now, if I reduce that down to 0, that's not going to do anything. See that? It's not affecting it at all. So be aware that there are some controls on the desktop synth that needs to be enabled. Even though you've got that connected and you're moving this, you're not getting any effect. It's because you need to feed it an amount. And we can, the more amount we give it, The other thing that's cool about the planar 2, this is completely irrelevant to what we're doing, is you can actually record your movements on this. So you can hit record. And then you can press play. Now it's actually doing what I manually did before, and I've got my hands free to do something else. Which is not that great. But you might think to yourself, I don't have a planar 2, but I do have an LFO. So an LFO is handy. I know there's an LFO built into this, and this is probably, why would I want to use Eurorack to do this? It might be that you're not happy with the LFO that's built into this. Maybe it's not fast enough. Or maybe it's not sexy enough, I don't know. But over here, I've got the Batumi, which is a quad LFO, and we're going to use the square sine. We'll use the sine. That's audio rate. And we can bring that right down. Here we go. So you can use external LFOs with it as well. There's another reason why you might want to use an external LFO instead of the built-in LFO, and that is you might have a desktop module where the LFO doesn't sync to any clock. And that might be actually important for you for your sound design. You might actually want your LFO to actually cycle through its waveform to the beat of a clock. And you know, like I said before, the inbuilt one doesn't do that. Maybe, I don't. In this case, Andy, can you remember if this one does? I don't think it does it?
No, it doesn't. It's free running.
Yeah. So there's a benefit there already. Now, that means that makes that LFO not usable in that sense. It's usable in a lot of other senses, but in that sense, it's not usable. All right. So it's pretty boring sound, isn't it?
There is an LFO CV in though, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Let's make that a bit faster.
Well, that would just adjust the speed of it, wouldn't it? So.
You might not like the amount of that, so you just dial that back. You might want that to be a little bit more harsh. There we go. All right, so there's some really basic things that you're doing on here. And you're probably thinking to yourself, I can do most of that already on the synth. Why the hell do I need all these CV outputs to do that? What I'm trying to get to here now is you guys need to start thinking outside the square with these sort of things. Like, if you've got an oscillator, right, instead of an LFO, you might want to have an oscillator running that CV cutoff. And this is going to start being crazy. So I'm going to use the Roland, where are we? 512 over here, sorry about my shoulder. And I'll do a triangle wave. And I'll start mucking around with this. Let's see what happens. Turn the... So that's as slow as that oscillator will go, but you can hear that but then you can actually get this thing to go up in audio rate. And what that's doing now is that's really crunching that filter up because it's actually modulating that at such insanely high frequencies. It's not a smooth sound. If I was to take that out, you can hear that that's nice and clean, but if I put that oscillator back through that cutoff, it's really crunching it up. And if we turn this sequence down to division, really crunching up that oscillator on that filter. All right.
Rants, can I ask a favour at this point?
Yeah.
Can you take some of the effects, dilute some of the effects back a bit, so we can actually hear the effect on the actual synth a bit more clearly?
Yeah, we can. What we'll do is we'll go. We'll just completely bypass the effects. All right. And we'll go straight into the mixer. There you go. There's no effects at all now running on that.
Can you do those speeding up, slowing down changes again?
With the oscillator, or with the or with the sequencer? Which one did you mean?
Either, or whatever. Any or both.
And we use the vision. Now that doesn't seem to be very loud, does it? Or is that just me?
I think the synth level can perhaps come up a little.
Is that better?
Yeah.
There's the oscillator now. Because I've got the resonance up, you can really start to hear the oscillator go through it. See that? Oh, it's insane. Right. Okay, so that's just an oscillator. And you could also use the oscillator built into here to do the same thing. You've got 2 oscillators in here. So that sort of thing, you didn't actually need to use an external oscillator, but you might have wanted the sound of the 2 oscillators in there. So they were already used, so you needed another oscillator to do that. But what about if we start triggering envelopes? Because you can't really trigger envelopes that well on here. And one of the things I love about some envelope modules, like the maths, for example, is you can actually trigger when you cycle them. All right, let's. Are you guys?
Just a second, Rans. Can I just ask you about that? Because when you just simply send a gate into the Pro 1, into that gate input,
yep,
that will trigger both the amp envelope and the filter envelope. It will trigger them both.
Correct. So I'm actually using these as they're set here. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so you've got those set down to. What did you mean by you can't trigger them? I wasn't sure what you meant by that.
I mean, as in re-trigger. So cycle.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, cycling them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, completely fine. So what we might do is just we'll take out that crazy filter for a second. We'll just go with the basics, right? Now I'm going to start cycling this. And that cycle on there can be clocked as well. and you can get that sort of out of beat to do some more crazy stuff. So that's dividing the sequencer. And that seems to double it. Oh, it's getting loud. So that's without the cycling. See that? See the difference? And then the cycling. So it's literally just punching that same pitch of each of the steps as many times as the cycle wants to repeat itself until it gets a new pitch command. It's just cool fun. Cool fun. All right. So we've done retriggering envelopes. We've done crazy oscillators into C cutoff frequencies. We've done pitch and gate. So we've done some pretty cool stuff already, and that is just with some really basic sounds on the Pro 1. The Pro 1 is just set to a sawtooth on oscillator 1 and a square wave on oscillator 2, oscillator B, I should say. So I haven't done any sort of crazy things on that yet. Now you've also got, as Andy said, you've also got an external in here, which literally goes through the filter in the VCA. What else have we got here? So we can do a resonance CV. Now, we were talking about this the other day, guys. You might remember. I was talking about it on the show. I was talking about it in Discord. I was talking about it to you, Andy. How many synths have got a resonance CV control? Not many.
No, definitely not many.
Why don't they do this more often? It's just a cool thing. And a lot of people would have said to me, "Well, but you don't really need it. What do you need it for? I mean, all you're going to do is just..." Well, what you need it for is a number of things. Like, for example, you might want to turn it on and off, but you might not want to have your hand on that knob to do it. You might want that done at a cycle or a beat. You know, you've got the ability to modulate. Resonance is a cool thing. It's resonance is not. It's like cutoff is like the big thing that everyone wants to do on a filter, but resonance is also another thing that you can adjust on a filter. So let's control it. So I'm just wondering what we could do maybe with the resonance right now, right? So what would happen if we put like an LFO into this? Because we were getting a bit of a squeal sound. So let's do should we do an on-off sort of thing? A square LFO? Let's see what that does. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Ow. That is really nasty. Okay.
That needs attenuating.
That is nasty business. That definitely needs attenuating. So maybe instead of using the... Yeah, that did. Sorry, guys. So maybe instead of using the Batumi, we might use the... Okay, we'll use...
Where's that?
We'll use the... No, there's my cable there. All right, we're going to use the C out of the planner because I like to be able to control things a bit more. This is kind of like... This is like control voltage controlled. I love this planner thing. It's a cool thing, right? It's actually... we probably need to go back to record mode.
You can record a movement, can't you? Is
Yeah.
that what you're going to do? Oh,
exactly, yeah. So let's see what it can... Whoa! Yeah. Here we go. All right, so we know that's starting to get nasty up here, right? All right, let's do record again. We want it to squeal a little bit, right? All right, there we go. Let's press play. There we go. It's doing it. It's doing everything I just did. Beautiful. Right. Why don't we now use the cutoff on here to... Let's change the sequence a bit. cool is that? How cool is that? Come on, guys. Changing the resonance automatically and the cutoff on a desktop module, that is just cool fun. Come on, you've got to agree. That's cool.
Definitely.
That is cool.
I should be playing with that later.
That is cool.
Even though I've only got one patch cable left.
So this is, I don't know if this, I mean, I might completely just be nerding out here, right? But this is the thing that I love. Sorry, Andy, you want to show something? There's your patch cable.
That's my last patch cable. I haven't got any more left. I've only got this one. Everything else is patched in.
I'll just grab a handful.
Throw them over. Chuck them over, Rants.
There you go, matey.
Cheers. I'm gonna have to just pull this patch out that I've got set up because I really have just gone overboard. Don't even you start, Darren.
Darren's got them all hanging there, hanging in the breeze, as Darren likes to do it. So yeah, before I forget what I want to say, because we'll talk about whatever patch cables in a sec. But I'm just going to get myself another ginger beer. Don't mind if I do. So like I was saying, I'm nerding out on this, right? And the reason why I'm nerding out, I've been doing this thing for years, but I'm still nerding out on it. And the reason why I'm nerding out on it is because this hardware synth is limited to what it gives you in the box. You can't do what I just did inside the box, unless you physically, manually moving knobs and stuff like that. You can't do that in an automative way. So that's the first point. But the second point is now all of a sudden you've got the ability to do sort of cool things that you don't want to have to manually do, and then it gives you freedom to muck around with other stuff. Like, for example, you can muck around with pulse width modulation now, which I think there might be an input for that, is there? Yes, there is. There's a mod wheel CV input, which means on the mod wheel CV input...
you can send the mod wheel to pulse width.
Which I can send the mod
in the
wheel
modulation matrix, yeah.
So we can now muck around with that oscillator B, and we can start pulse width modulating that and just beefing that up a little bit. So we'll do that in a sec. But what I thought we'd do is we'll just quickly go to chatties, because I did say that I wanted this to be interactive, and I wanted the chatties to be part of this. So yeah, the Behringer Cat has resonance CV2. Yeah, it's starting to become a thing, I think, which is good. People are listening. People are listening.
I mean, the original Pro 1 doesn't have any means of modulating the resonance, none at all. There's no resonance CV on the back. There's just CV and gate, and there's a filter input. There's nothing to the filter as in the cutoff. So there's nothing to modulate the resonance at all. But that's true of 99% of synths. There's nothing to modulate the resonance other than grabbing the knob itself and twisting it.
Yeah.
So just the fact that it's got that makes it opens up new territories. I think it's going to be interesting.
I do too. Now, while we got it, why don't we see if we can? Okay, we are going to. I'm actually kind of getting nerded out on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Pro 1 through the Magneto. Okay, that gives us a bit of a tape delay sound. So we'll see what happens first with that. Oh, we've got some drums too. All right. Why don't we get rid of that drum? Oh, that's not the right one. Hang on. And I think I want to get rid of that hat because it just annoys me. There we go. Bye-bye hat. All right, so now that Magneto's clocked, so we're good there. Are we happy with that drum? I think it's way too loud. I think I pumped it up a bit. All right, now we're going to modulate the pulse width, weren't we? Rightio, how are we going to do that? Batumi to the rescue. Batumi can do lots of things because I've got 4 LFOs in Batumi. Whoa, I just knocked one out. Be careful, boys. So we're going to go mod wheel CV in, Now, Andy, you might want to help me with this. How do I set the mod wheel CVE on the pulse width? Let me just have a quick look here. Oscillator B, right? Wheel.
Move the switch up to wheel.
Yeah.
To WH at the top.
Yeah, and then WH. Yeah.
That should automatically do it, I think.
Oh, that's doing the pitch. That's doing the pitch. No, hang on a sec. I want pulse width. Oh, I can only do it with LFO frequency. Okay, no, that's cool. So we can actually set the LFO CV in. Let's do that. Here we go. What have I done?
Oh, there you go, that did it.
No, it's not modifying the pulse width. Hang on, I'm doing something wrong.
Right, on the oscillator, in the left-hand section, in the mod matrix, in the switches, it's the second switch up, oscillator B pulse width, and push that up to where it says WH. Does that not then automatically affect? Take the.
Oh, I switched the wrong one. That's what I did. I switched the wrong one.
Have you switched the pitch one? Yeah.
Yeah, I switched the pitch one.
So that will probably do the pulse width now, I think.
All right, let's go.
I've never done this myself on with this external CV, so sounds like it.
Let's turn this oscillator down. Yeah, it's definitely doing it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
All right, cool. So we've got that happening. All right, that's what we wanted. And I think Daz has said he wanted a kick drum. So there you go. You got a kick drum too. Beautiful. All right. So what have we got now? We've got mod wheel oscillating, LFO controlled, oscillator controlled by pitch on a sequencer, gate controlled by the gate on a sequencer, which is another thing that we could possibly change. And I'll show you why we want to do that in a sec. We've got cutoff frequency changed by an LFO, and we've got resonance CV controlled by the planner, which is a manual recording of the stick being moved. Okay, why do we want to change the gate? Because I just want the notes to change on the sequencer. And what I want is I'm going to use a square LFO to be my gate. Here we go. So now the sequencer is not actually controlling the gate. Here we go. So now I've got like a trancey sort of gate thing happening. I can clock that too. So the Batumi will actually take another gate. So I could actually put the sequencer trig. Actually, yeah, let's do the trig from the sequencer. So we're completely disabling math now. And we want to come into, let's try this. Now it's in tune. See that? Did you notice that immediate change? So if I take that out, that's how it was free running. And I put that into the sync, watch. It's in beat. And I can change the division of that beat. there you go. We'll just keep running forever, unless I pull it out. Done. Right. Cool. Was that fun?
Cool. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, I'm just reading what the chatties are saying. I can't read the chat whilst I've got my back turned to the screen, so really hard to do this.
There's a lot of talk about stackables and glow-in-the-dark cables and ones with flashing LED lights.
I actually want to get some of those.
Solitary remaining patch cable.
Yeah, I want to get.
Yeah, the flashing LED light.
Yeah, I do want to get some of
Yeah,
those.
I think we're all going to have to do that now. It was Andy Synth Addict who was saying that they start to get pricey. He said,
They do.
I found some on Etsy that made me cheap custom plug lights, different colours for jacks, stackables, so they can be added as needed. Well, interesting. Well, you know what you're doing with stuff like that, though, Andy. You know, you're cleverer than me. I'd have to have them all pre-made up.
I
can't be bothered trying to.
I didn't even see. Didn't even see
him.
I was going to say I didn't even see Andy in here. So big hello to Andy. He's obviously gotten up early. It's definitely early in the morning over his part of the world. So either he hasn't gone to bed yet, or he's woken up early. Good on him. Yeah, the glow-in-the-dark cables. I don't know if I want those, but I do want the ones that light up, and they light up based on the CV signal going through them. I do think they're a cool thing, because sometimes that's intuitive for you. Sometimes it's annoying as well. It can be annoying, so in that case, if it's annoying, just use normal patch cables. But in the case that you actually need to know what's going on, you might have a long cable going from somewhere to somewhere, and it'd be nice to know what's actually feeding into that. Also with the DC coupling too, that can be handy as well. I've just ordered myself a ES5 from Expert Sleepers, which is the extension module to my ES8. So I've got another 8 outputs, and I'm going to start mucking around with, getting DC coupling happening. And you can just see the ES8 module in the bottom right-hand corner of my screen there. See it on the bottom right-hand corner?
Yeah.
The Expert Sleepers
Told
ES8.
Told you not to talk about DC coupling. Told you to fry my brain.
It's actually not that hard, honestly. The way I would start to think about it, Andy, is if you've got a computer and you've got a way for your computer to connect to, in my case, I've got the Expert Sleepers module. Let me move that for you so I can show you a bit better. So see the ES8 module on the bottom right-hand corner there? That with a little USB connection into my computer, which is disconnected at the moment. But if I had that plugged in, it means in my DAW, all of those ports will show up in my computer, and I can access them. I can either access them as audio inputs and outputs, or I can access them using CV DC coupling. And that means that I can use certain features within your DAW. Ableton does it, Bitwig does it as well. There's a great video that Robin has done recently on his channel, which he shows DC coupling. And what I liked about his video, I think I talked about this before, is I liked how he didn't techno the talk too much. He really dumbed it down for us. And I thought that was well done from him.
I haven't seen it yet. I've been sort of scared by the phrase DC coupling, so maybe I should have to go back and watch it.
But all you're really doing is you're making something happening in software then happen with control voltage. That's really all you're doing. So you will map something in your DAW to go to a port on that Expert Sleepers module, or in your case, whatever you've got, and then you plug it into a module. It might be you've got an LFO running in your DAW, and you might want to use that in one of your bits of hardware there. And the thing about the Expert Sleepers, all of those little ports will light up too when you've got stuff coming through it, so you can actually see what's happening. It's pretty handy, actually. It's pretty handy indeed. Yeah, decent. Chatties. Expert Sleepers is Max saying he's got an Expert Sleepers glow-in-the-dark cable. They are fantastic, but they do not glow unless you turn the lights on and off. Yeah, they've got that, what is that paint called? There's a specific chemical, isn't it? that has to take, is it phosphorus or something? It has to take the light photons before it recharges itself. It's quite handy, isn't it? You wouldn't get a black light. Oh, the black lights, eh? Reminds you of the nightclub toilets. Stop the people from doing silly things in the nightclub toilets, eh? Yeah, look, ASIO had said he's not a fan of flashy RGB stuff. I am a bit, but I'm not either. So, like, for example, one of the things that I can't stand is this. And I could turn it off, but you
Just
can
not
see,
overkill.
see my MX1. That absolutely pees me off. But the only option I've got with it is to turn the demo off. And if I turn the demo off, then you can burn out the LED lights in the MX1. So that demo thing that it's doing is actually protecting the MX1 from burnout. It's kind of like the old-fashioned CRTs. You remember the old days with the monitors, with the computers, and if you left like a graphic up on the screen for too long, you'd get the the phosphor burn-in on the on the CRT. Same thing happens with, I believe, with the MX1. Someone told me anyway, so I'll probably just leave that demo running, even though it does my head in. I hate that. So in ASIO head, I'm with you on that. But in some other cases, people were rubbishing this thing with all the LED lights on it. I absolutely love it. And I'll tell you why I love it. For a lot of reasons. The lights, the Behringer have done a really good job of this. The lights actually are color-coded. And as you start to get to know this, Darren will agree with me as he's playing with his, believe it or not, your brain is so accustomed to going to color. It's a real basic instinct that our brains have. And you'll immediately grab a potentiometer slider here based on its color without even thinking about it.
Yeah,
and that's
like
actually
OS1, it's a certain color, OS2, certain color.
Yeah, that's a really handy thing to have. The original, just had black colored potentiometer sliders. So to me, that's those little things help us for our muscle memory. So that's a cool thing. So there's an example of lights that I like. It's funny how we go off on little tangents on this show, isn't it? Talking about lights and cables and dear. But it just goes to show that most of us here, and pat on your back for all of you guys and ladies as well, that you guys probably aren't. This is not educating you. I'm not supposed to be educating you. This is what this is kind of like, hey, we're a bunch of synth nerds. Let's play around with some control voltages on a desktop module, and let's show people who might be watching this on the replay what we can do. So that's kind of our challenge now. What do you guys in chat, and also Andy and Darren, what do you want me to do on this Pro 1? Make it so that, don't try and throw me off under the bus here, but make it so that I can actually do it.
You do something, do something with the delay. CV the delay.
The Magneto.
Magneto. Yeah.
Are you sitting in a cave, Darren?
Yeah, he's playing with his reverb. He's a reverb boy.
Have I got some reverb on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got reverb on, boy.
I must have. I moved the slide on the desk. Is that better?
Can you guys see that? It's a bit of a cable mess there, right? So to play with the Magneto, what I've got right now is I've got the PAMs clocking it, right? So the very first thing that you would do with this is coming out of port 5 in PAMs. The first thing you would do is in PAMs, go to port 5 and check what it's set at. It's set at ×1 modifier. So let's just do that for a start. Let's go. Now I haven't got any sound coming out because I disconnected it. Give me a sec. Let's go back to how we had this set up before. Right, sorry, I just had to get that going again. Right, let's go again. make that a bit wetter for you, Darren, so you can hear the delay. And I'll bring the dry down a bit. All right, what we want to do now is we want to modify the clock on, I'm going to make this half. So he immediately changes it. And chain the repeats off a bit. Now I wonder if we can change this to a, it's on a even set at the moment. Let's change it to an odd. That gives you a bit of a ping-pongy sort of effect, right, Darren? All right, let's change that now to a...
He says we want F on it.
That's a 1.5 clock now. So for every kick, you're going to get 1.5. You can actually see the... I'll move those cables out of the way. You can actually see that's the beat that's coming in just behind that, where my finger is there. You can see that's 1.5 beats to where the kick is. So if you tap your finger to the kick, you'll see that's doing 1.5, right? And we can do 2, that's 2 now. So that's double the beat. Or we can go the opposite way. We can go to 1/4. So it's on, on, on. So I reduce the repeats, it'll
Drop the
literally...
kick.
Okay, that's the first thing you can do to this thing. That's 1-to-1 now. All right, then what we can do is this. You can put the dry up a bit.
Can you turn the overall volume up a bit, Rans?
I can. I think I knocked that cable, sorry. Is that better?
Yeah, it's a little bit better, yeah.
Oh, it is a bit low, isn't it? Better?
Yeah, that's better.
All right. With the magneto, by the way, there's a hell of a lot more you can do. Like I can control voltage, the repeats, the wet, the speed, the return. Sorry, not the return. The shift, the spring. There's a spring reverb on there as well, which I haven't. It's a digital one. But yeah, I mean, in terms of it being a delay, because you've got 4 tape heads on here, and I'm currently recording on tape head 1 and 4, and that does the repeats, and you can set the repeats by this knob here, but you can also set the repeats using an LFO as well. So you can increase and decrease the repeats or turn them on and off, all that sort of stuff. Get some crazy stuff. But the most coolest one that you can do is mucking around with the speed pitch knob here, which I was sort of doing before. So it's like playing with your tape head. And you can go into the transport part, turn the dry off. And bring it back in again. What happened to me kick? Did I take it out, did I? Lost my cable from a kick.
Yeah, he took it out.
No, that wasn't it. I've lost my kick now. I don't know what I did with it. It was definitely a...
I can always lend you a bastel.
Yeah, you lots of kick in that. You get a kick out of your bastel. Alright, let's turn that off for a sec. That's still the magneto going by itself. I've turned the synth off. Now that's on a loop, so I can turn that off. It's finished. It's cool. I mean, you can do it. It's got echo mode, loop mode, and sample mode on that too. So I haven't even gone into that, but yeah. Oh mate, it's a deep module. I do recommend it. Like if you guys are into, you know, effects and mangling up effects on a Eurorack, that is definitely one of my favorites. Other people may disagree. The module above it is actually pretty good too. The Typhoon, which is Typhoon is Clouds, which is the Clouds hybrid. And the reason why it's a bit better than Clouds is because you've got more controls than what the original Clouds had. So that's also good. I should move the camera up, shouldn't I, so you guys can see what I was talking about. That one. Let's zoom in a bit for you so you don't see the light. So that Typhoon module on the top left there, you've got CV controls for wet, stereo, feedback, reverb, and then you've got posit, density, size, texture, and there's a whole bunch of other things as well that you can muck around with. And in a way, you can get a delay effect out of that. There's some algorithm in there that's kind of delay effects, and also it's got quite a nice sounding reverb on there too, which is the famous Clouds reverb as well. So that's also a good one to muck around with. What is also interesting about using CV is you can also use audio as a CV modulation source. So, and I was doing that kind of with that filter, wasn't I, before? So you don't actually have to put like an LFO or a waveform. You can put noise, you can put anything in there. And that's another cool thing about it. So we haven't tried that really, have we? Do I have noise nearby? Yes, I do. I do, said Mr. Magoo. I've got, can we do here? I need a longer cable. That would be a help. Okay, so I've got an arm. It's good you guys can see my arm. Pink noise or white noise? You choose. Which guys? What should we do?
Pink.
Pink. Pink it is. And what should we put pink into? Cutoff frequency?
Be careful.
It's very funny. All right, let's do that. I kind of will take the wet off for a sec. Not getting what I want out of that. There we go. There it is. So do you see the noise now coming into it? And the point of that is to just really grunge up the filter. Let's change this a bit.
Stick some of those repeaty step things in on the Atlantis or on the Metropolis.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we can go...
Just to jog it about a bit.
Yeah, hang on a sec. Go into here. And we go. Let's do this one. And let's make this div go faster. Is that what you wanted?
Hey, well, just something else to play with.
There you go. Oh, there's that beautiful Pro 1 sound. That's with no modulation on the filter. So nice, isn't it? There you go, enough of that. Getting bored with the sound of the synth. All right, Where were we going next? I actually lost track. Did anyone in the chat actually have a suggestion? Because I didn't see. Did you guys see? Darren, did you see?
No, they're all talking about sequences.
I mean, that whole time I was mucking around with the sequencer more than anything. That's what I was doing. I tell you what, though, one thing that I want to do more of, and that is, I want to do more of this. Let me just show you. I haven't got my head around it perfectly yet, but these two variegate and voltage block modules by Electro, I'm learning them at the moment. There's some basic stuff I can do, but you can do pretty much what you can do on the Metropolis with this, but also it's got a lot more outputs. There's a lot more tracks you can make on it, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do, because you've got two sequencers. You've got a gate sequencer and you've got a voltage sequencer, or a pitch sequencer, if you want to call it that. So yeah, I do want to muck around with that a bit more. But yeah, TBA for that, ladies and gents. TBA. I'm still, Andy, I'm still very jealous that you've got the 960. I'm still waiting for mine.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh,
still waiting for mine.
The 960. If I'm honest with you, it's just such a great thing to play with. It's just like the performance thing of it, and especially after Native VS's tip about the sending triggers from the BeatStep Pro, that really has given it a whole new lease of life, because you can then actually program a much more interesting rhythmical sequence, which you can't particularly on the 960. It just runs through the steps. I know you can do things with the timings and the gate lengths and things, but actually that sort of idea of having sort of dotted bits or syncopated different, it's just been great. It's just been great. I've enjoyed that. So once again, a big thank you to Native VS for pointing me in the right direction, and actually which socket to plug it into, because that was another thing. Why can't I get this? Why can't I get this to work? And it's because it's dead obvious once you get into it. One thing I wanted to mention about this, because it's something that I've actually only just realised today, is the two, if you like, desktop synth units which I have. One's in the rack now. Obviously, the D is in the rack. The two behave differently. So, for example, like I've already said, the Pro One, as soon as it gets a gate, it triggers both of the envelope generators.
Yep.
Whereas on the D, it only triggers the amp. You have to send it a separate gate signal to trigger the filter envelope, which had me scratching my head. I know you remember me saying that. I thought it had got a fault because the filter envelope wasn't doing it. It wasn't working at all. But once I'd figured that out, it fixed it. Now, I thought that the Pro One was going to do the same thing, but clearly it's a different design. It's wired differently inside, because you don't have to. The internal filter envelope will trigger and work perfectly as soon as it gets a gate, which is a blessing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because internally it does.
I'm not sure why they did that.
Internally it does, but I guess if you CV into it doesn't. I guess that's by design, I think.
No, that's the D. Yeah, the D. Well, if you send it a MIDI note, it triggers them both. You send it the CV and gate, and it doesn't. Whereas whereas the Pro One definitely triggers them both.
And in that case,
I wonder why they're different.
Well, in that case, you just mult or
you have to mult
you can just stack your.
It's simple once you've realised it. Once you've figured that out, it's another bit of problem to solve, and it's another step to go through. But it's not insurmountable in any way.
Yeah, I've kind of forgotten a bit about the Model D. I had my Model D in my racks, my Eurorack cases for ages, because I didn't have any modules. I had a few modules and I had the Model D in there sitting there, and I used it a heap. And then since I've had a whole heap of modules, I've actually put them away and haven't touched them really. So yeah, like the Pro One has been sitting off to the side, and it's kind of nice to have it back out, because I really, really like the sound of it. And Model D is good, the Neutron's good, all of those are good. So yeah, I think, I guess kind of the message that we're sort of getting to you guys is that, and this is not you guys in chat, because I know you guys are all brilliant synth people. This is whoever's kind of watching this and thinking, what is this all about? Is just patch stuff into it and play and see what you can come up with. Patch an oscillator into something and patch a filter into something. Like, just muck around with it. In fact, here's a good little thing that I actually never really knew. This is something that I learned during the week, and that is there was a question about portamento. and someone asked about like what's a way you can do portamento if you don't actually have in CV, this is not in a synth, if you don't actually have a glide or a portamento module. And one of the answers that someone put up was that you can use a low pass filter. Now there's a caveat to this. Your low pass filter must be DC coupled, so the filter actually does send control voltage in a way. I think that's kind of the point of it. But in a sense, the way that the portamento circuit works is like a filtered control voltage over time. Basically, you're attenuating that either to longer or shorter, filtration, basically, like a slew. Yeah, like Mac's saying. So, but it's not a slew, isn't it? It's a something slew. What's the word that they used? A something slew. There's a word. It's not a slew in its basic sense, because you can get there's a slew, for example, in the Neutron. You can use that, Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is sometimes there's ways of doing things that people may not actually be aware that they've actually got the tool in front of them to do it. There you go. Try it out if you want to see if you can make a portamento with a low pass filter. I don't know if you could use this particular one, but for example, there's a low pass filter there. It's the Behringer 904A, which is the Moog 904A one. You could try that. I don't know if it's it depends on the output, if it's DC coupled or not. I actually don't know. I haven't checked. But you could try that and see if that works for you. Because remembering, when you're slewing a waveform, all you're doing is you're kind of shaving off its amplitude in a way. You're changing the shape of it in a way. So that's what portamento does. Cool thing.
I was just wondering if Darren mixes and matches his semi-modulars with his modular rig. I mean, he's got you got a DFAM and a dread box, haven't you? You got the dread box Erebus, haven't you?
Yeah, Erebus and DFAM. I have done. Not recently, but yeah, I have. Since I've moved everything around, they've not actually been plugged into the module. In fact, the module's not even
because they're on the other side.
I've changed it. So yes, I did do. I haven't done recently. I need to sort of mess about with the mod. The reason I haven't messed about with the modular has been doing so many other things. If I start messing about with the modular, you get lost and then days go without actually knowing what you're doing. So I have to be careful when that's switched on.
The TD3s, you got two of them there, right? They've actually got some patch points on them, don't they? So
yeah,
you can muck around with those. Just try and find mine because I can't remember what was on it.
Filter in, sync in, CV out, gate out.
Yeah.
It doesn't
so
have
filter
a lot.
in, sync in, CV out, and gate out. Yeah. And there's a really, really good Facebook group at the moment which has got like how to hack into these things. Have you guys seen that?
Not yet, no. The filter in is an audio in rather than a CV in.
Okay, right. Because it's saying that you can run something through its filter. That's kind of what they're saying. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I think it's an audio in. So it's actually quite limited. It's just sync. There's the CV and gate out, so you can use the thing as a sequencer. There we go. There it is.
Hang on, go it again.
I've got an.
Do it again.
So there we go. Where have we got them? They're up here. So there's the filter in and CV, gate, sync, and all that. It's quite. There's not loads on this, but I suppose what's there is useful. So, again, I haven't used this very much. I mean, since I bought it, I think it's only. Oh, you've got the sexy see-through purple one. Darren's got the yellow one, and I've got the minging red one. Never mind. It's no one sees what it sounds like when you record it.
He's got a yellow one as well.
Yeah. It's just me. Back, it's not sync.
On the back, there's no CV. It's just on the top there. So there's really only sync.
Grey bottom to that.
Yeah, it's see-through bottom, yeah. But it's nothing underneath it. It's literally, all you can see is the bottom of the circuit board. See? So like an orange coloured circuit board underneath. But the cool thing about it is if you get those flat LED lights, you can just sit this on top of it, and this whole thing on top changes colour. I've shown some pictures before. It's a cool thing. So it doesn't really matter what colour you get. You can muck around with it. Because the bottom is clear, right? Or opaquely clear. So you can have all sorts of colours coming out the bottom. You've got your purple top or your green top or your red top, see-through, and the light shining through. And you can have your little you know, mates at your concert that you've done going, oh, wow, look at those pretty lights. I just came here for the lights show. God.
It's called Blackpool.
No, in terms of CV, what I was trying to get to is that the basic model that you buy from Behringer, which is dirt cheap. I mean, seriously, it's pennies really. This thing. And if
I bought it.
There's some really easy hacks in there. There's it's really not that hard to open it up. There's actually things on the circuit board that you can literally just solder a wire and a 3.5mm socket you can buy from your local, you know, electronic shop. It's a real basic
And then
hack.
in my case, it doesn't work.
But you can do some really basic hacks, and then you can add some extra CV controls to it, which is actually a really, really cool thing. And I kind of want to do it to mine, but I don't want to do it to my purple one. I probably want to get like the you know, the black one or something, and just get a spare one and muck around with it. I kind of do want to get into that because that little TD3 hacking group on Facebook is going gangbusters at the moment. It's got a lot of people doing stuff. So Mac needs to tell us a little bit about this Mochica X4. I don't know what that is. We can have a look at it next week, maybe on the show. There's no battery compartment on the TD3 Note, and
No, there isn't.
the original have one, didn't it?
The 303, I think it did, didn't it?
Can't remember now.
I thought it did.
Well, the 101 did, so I thought it would have done.
The SH101 did, and I think the couple of the other Roland things
202
did. I'm pretty sure the TD303 did.
303?
Pretty sure it did. Anyway, someone
I'm
can
sure it
correct
was
me.
for guitarists,
Google.
wasn't it, originally, to put the side, so I would have thought it would have done.
Quick Google will tell you that. Someone can do that quickly. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I was thinking of during the week is because we're doing CV today, because I want to try and keep it on topic as much as we can. There's a really cool module that Dope4 do, and I just off the top of my head, I'm having a little brain fade. What it is, it's someone will tell me in the chat the model number. It's kind of like a Malt, except it's got like routing switches on it, and it's actually really, really cool. So it's in a way you can set it up so that you've got you know, little patch cables going into this and out of this, and you can use these little switches as I think there was a video that was done by Alex Milo Melodies on this a few years ago, so go check it out. But you can actually use this as a performance thing where what you're doing is you're routing something somewhere, and you quickly flick the switch during a little live performance giggy sort of thing, and that little module reroutes the CV somewhere else. It's actually a really, really cool thing.
182.
Yeah, the switching multiplier, the sensor. Yeah, that's it, the 182. It's a really, really cool little module, and a lot of people don't realize how cool that module is. It's so cool, and I actually want to get my hands on one of those. I think it would have been cool for tonight just to sort of show you some extra muck around. Yeah. Georgia Anguili. Yeah. Is she the one that's with the sort of curly black or dark brown hair, and she does kind of little YouTube videos of performances in her home studio? Is that the Georgia one? Is that the same person that I'm thinking of? I'm going to have to quickly Google it.
Not so sure.
If it is, it's the one I'm thinking of. She's actually really cool. Georgia Anguili. Yeah, that's her. Yep. Go check her. I'll paste her channel in. If you guys have never ever seen her before, where's her YouTube channel? Is this it? No, it's not it. Let me just get a YouTube channel up. Hang on one sec. I'll post it into the chat. Georgie R. And Gwili. Some really, really good music that she does. Oh my God, I can't find the channel. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I don't want to play any of it because I'm going to get in trouble. Here we go. Sorry, it takes me time to get this sort of stuff. There we go. Go check her channel out. She doesn't know me from a bar of soap, so she's getting a free plug from me. Big hello to you if you're watching. No, some really, really good videos. And what I mean by really good is probably go back maybe about a bit over a month ago. Sort of between one month to 6 months. In the last 6 months, she's done some really, really cool, just some things that she's done. Like she's got an idea and then she's put that idea in and it's turned into a whole track, if that makes sense. But yeah, there was one, which one did I watch? There was one about live sets that she did, and she was kind of showing how she used her gear. And it's kind of simplistic what she's done. And she's done a similar one to you, Darren, where she's done noises and sampled them and put them into a track, sort of similar to what you did. And, you know, no one's better or worse. It's just another one that's done. It was enjoyable. It was nice. She is inventive, yeah. She uses a lot of toys and things in her stuff. So, as Wagoo says, definitely check her out if you haven't. Yeah, we should try and get her on the show. I don't know whether she speaks English or not, though. There is a group in Facebook called Synth Cafe, which is actually full of Italians. It's actually an Italian synth group. But if you actually, they'll let you join if you're a synth head like me. And they have some really, really cool conversations in there. And the good thing about Facebook is it translates it for you. So you don't have to learn how to speak Italian. But for you, Andy, you probably already speak Italian, right? You speak about 400 languages, don't you?
No, I don't speak Italian. It's, you know, it's one of these things, isn't it? If you know Latin and you know some Spanish and you know some French, you can transfer it. I can pick up a newspaper and get the gist of things in.
It's easier to read than listen, though.
To
listen to it, it's harder.
Yeah, definitely. So
where I live here in my little home suburb here, it's actually predominantly an Italian community, because originally when this area was settled, there were all market gardeners here, and they were, you know, from the 1950s they were immigrating to Australia and you know, post-war, that sort of thing, and they just were given land and they said, right, do what you want, and they set up little market gardens, and the families are like generations, you know, of kids and stuff like that, and it's just everywhere you go, the shops, they're all Italian type shops and stuff. It's actually kind of like living in a little mini Italy here. and I have absolutely no ancestral Italian relations in the last, you know, probably 4 or 5 generations anyway that I can think of, so it's completely unrelated to me, but it's actually nice because you get lots of Italian food and culture here, so even though you've got nothing to do with Italy. But yeah, there was a guy that used to live next door to me. He's moved out now. He's sold the house to someone else. But he used to practice on his harpsichord. I think it was a harpsichord. And he used to do this kind of very famous Italian sort of, you know, music thing that they would all play at their little weddings and, you know, family functions, and that it sort of goes. It's kind of like that. You can hear him practicing it all the time. And my son, his bedroom is right next to where this guy would have practiced, and he used to complain about it. And he goes, one song that I know off by heart is and that was how it kind of went. Yeah, the music, like Jana's saying, the musical terms, a lot of Italian musical terms, that's for sure. Arpeggio, portamento, staccato. Hidden uses. What's Sensin saying?
Hidden users, I think. YouTube Studio settings community, then look for hidden users.
Oh, okay. He's referring to Mac. Something about Mac. Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, I kind of wanted to do more with CV, but I kind of feel like we've run out of time. We could just muck around with this for hours, but it's probably 2 hours. Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes. Ooh, that went quick. Wow, I can't make you guys hang around too much longer. You've got lives to live. We had
I've got to go up to my dad's.
a good amount of people today. I was actually quite happy with that, considering that you guys have got nice weather. I think someone said it was about 25. That's a beautiful day if it's 25 degrees in your.
It's a nice day today.
If you are in your neck, we talked about this at the start. So go and enjoy the rest of your day. If you've still got a couple of hours left of daylight where you live, go outside, go into a park, grab your Bastel as Darren would.
It's light till 10 o'clock.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go up to my dad's, then I'm gonna head off somewhere and have a nice walk because I've done now but sit on my arse all day, so I need to do something.
If you can get yourself a nice ginger beer or something,
I've got beers.
If you're allowed to drink alcohol, even if it's a non-alcoholic version, and if you've never tried ginger beer, do it.
Oh, I have, yeah. Get some nice ones here.
Do a ginger beer today. Think of me. Say, right, I'm going to have a ginger beer for Rans. Do that. If there's nothing else you do, go get yourself a ginger beer and see if you enjoy it. I tell you what.
I do. I like it.
Ginger beer.
Lidl and Heather would do a nice one.
Ginger beer and sound design go well together. I don't
like ginger beer.
Oh, really? You haven't tried this, though.
I'm not a ginger beer.
You haven't tried this. You have not tried that. You got to get yourself one of those. I'll post one to you, Darren. It's a joke.
No, because that means the person will be listening to something. What was the other thing that lost on the way? And he'll be having a drink of ginger beer.
Yeah, he's all set. Hey, got a CD and something else and ginger beer. Set for life. Day
Lashings of ginger beer.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. If we can't get the mastering show up and running by next week, it's purely going to be to do with whether I can tee up the guests or not. Let me know during the week if you want me to talk about something specific during the show. I will just pluck an idea and a topic out of the air like I did this week. Let me know if you want me to cover something. You guys pretty well much know the sort of gear that I've got here. So if you want me to bring anything out and talk about something,
or if you just want me to do a random show.
Yeah, you just want us chatting. We can just get drunk on stream and chat about anything. You can do that if you want.
Well, next week? Why don't we do like a mega patch each? So Darren, using obviously the modular stuff, and Darren, you could use the ARP and the DFAM and that sort of thing, and we'll have a mega patch each, and we'll do a bit on that, and perhaps have a talk about how we've put it together and what we're doing with it. Maybe. Just a suggestion.
Well, mine will be just plugging things in and seeing what comes out.
Isn't that what we do?
Best uses of random. Yeah. What, do you want me to do a patch on maybe the 2600? I could do that. Because there's lots of, just within that, there's lots of things just in there that have never been done.
Interesting question from Sean McMahon about the BeatStep Pro with the BPM, with the tempo, that it doesn't keep solid timing. Are we talking over MIDI or over clock? Or I've been using the BeatStep Pro to clock other sequencers and not found any drift, but I've not got it synced to anything else at the moment. So I wonder. I know Rans, you've got a BeatStep Pro, or had a BeatStep Pro. Darren, you just hate your BeatStep Pro, so don't know.
What?
Maybe I'll get to like it one day.
But the sync, I forget what it's called. Is it the sync or the clock thing where you can toggle it between internal, external, MIDI, USB, that sort of stuff? Make sure that saying over MIDI, right? Okay, cool. And he's saying the tempo light does not. Yeah, I actually have noticed that. I have noticed that. He's right. And it's definitely not to do with firmware because my BeatStep Pro is up to date. But I have noticed that when I had my BeatStep Pro here on the table to the right of me, I remember the light was just flashing whatever the internal clock was set at. Look, it's not a really big deal, to be honest. It's not a really big deal. The light's not flashing. I mean, really, what's more important is as long as the sequence is in time. If your sequence is in time, then who cares? Stick a bit of tape over it.
We sort of know that over MIDI can be a bit unpredictable from one machine to another. The MIDI clock is a bit wobbly sometimes. CV tends not to be so. Control voltage clock tends to be pretty solid, doesn't it?
It does. Well, it depends. It depends. Depending if your CV's been controlled by something else. It all depends on. Like we've had this discussion before to where hearts bleeding basically. Where is your master clock? Is the real $60,000 question. I'm still keen to get that Ableton Eurorack module. I want to get it just for interest's sake, just to see how that actually works. Because like I said, I'm really loving PAMs. It was definitely a purchase worthwhile. Not everyone agrees with me, but I think it was a purchase worthwhile. In my case, it solved a lot of problems. Because if you're using a lot of CV and a lot of Eurorack gear, and you just want to sync everything up nicely and have everything play well nicely, PAMs did the trick for me. What actually does help with my setup, and it's sad to say this because you guys can't get one, is I actually have the MIDI out going into my Blue Arp, because that's actually pretty tight in terms of clock as well. So I've got the PAMs is tight in clock and the Blue Arp is tight in clock. Both of them are very good clocks. And then from there, it doesn't really matter because it's all kind of individual instruments directly connected via MIDI. So we've got to get Oleg to get his Blue Arp out on the market. We really do. We've got to push him because a lot of you have been saying, why is it taking so long? He actually had COVID at the start of the year. So, and it actually knocked him about pretty bad. He actually got pretty crook. So, and I also think he's had some issues with, manufacturing side of it. He wants to kind of do as much as he can in-house because it's hard to outsource. It costs lots of money. So he wants to try and, keep it all local. And I understand what he's saying. He has more control over everything. It's kind of the opposite to how Conductive Labs do their things. They literally design everything in computer and CAD, and then they give it to a factory in China and say, right, here, make this. Ship us a prototype. Okay, let's fix this, let's fix that. Let's try again, second prototype. Let's get someone to program the firmware, bang, bang, bang. That's how they worked, whereas Oleg just wants to do everything in-house as much as he can. I actually like that. It's kind of more, it's kind of more special. It's a little bit kind of like how Brad's doing his S2400, kind of a bit like that. That thing is going to be an absolute, complete, like massive, rock solid piece of gear. Like the guys who have got one, like Ken's got one, he's saying they're so well built, these things. They're just so rock solid. I can't wait to get mine. I think there's a guy in here watching now who's also on back order for the S2400. So be a few people getting them soon, which is good news. They're all talking about root beer and ginger beer. Can you CV the speed of PAMs? Yes, you can. You sure can. You've got a, I'm going to know if I can even show you. You've got a clock input there. Right there. So that can be, and you've also got a menu option inside on how that actually responds to that clock input as well. So there you go. So you could so technically I could run Metropolis as my master clock, CV that into PAMs, and yeah, I do it the other way around, but you could. One of the things with Metropolis that's really, really cool, and this is like a lot of people don't actually realize this, is Metropolis actually has a reset and a clock on the input, right? And on the output, it has a sync and a clock. So I don't use those because I'm using PAMs, but I could use it. And the reason why it's got a reset and a clock is because when you press stop in control voltage land, it could stop the sequence. You know, you might be getting to part 4 there, right? It's going 1, 2, 3, stop, and I'm on 4. And I press start again, it goes 5, 6, 7, 8. So what the reset does is if I go stop, it goes back to 1. So there's a difference between stopping and continuing and stopping and resetting. So, and in control voltage, you can actually have both independently happen, which is a cool thing. So yeah, and you can do that in PAMs too. So yeah, I keep bashing PAMs, but you know, people talk about how the menu diving on it's nasty. I don't think it is. Like I was showing you guys before, where I was going into the magneto and showing you that I was like dividing the clock and multiplying the clock. That was literally just a quick twist of the knob, a push in, and a quick twist of the knob left or right, depending on dividing or multiplying. That was literally all you had to do. If you want to start getting into some of the deeper stuff that it does, yeah, you've got to be doing a bit of menu diving, but I never ever touch that. I'm literally just touching clock divisions and multiplications, and that's about it. The cool stuff that it can do is deeper menu diving. So the things like where you've got you can have the gate trigger on the off beat instead of the on beat, and it's called I forget what it's called. I think it's called pulse or something. It's in one of the menu options, and you don't. If you touch that sort of stuff, you don't really need to really touch it again. You just set it for a particular output, and that's actually pretty handy too. Like say, Darren, you like to do those sort of techno sort of bass beats where you've got the kick and then you've got the bass happening at the offbeat. Does that make sense? So you've got that sort of thing happening. You can do that with PAMs, and all you have to do is set the output on PAMs to one of the outputs to do. Sorry, it's called phase, not pulse. It's called phase. So you set the phase to 50%, and the actual clock will offset itself by 50%. So you can have a kick going boop, boop, and then you can have the bass going boop, 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 like that. And it's just done in PAMs. It's so cool. And, you know, you don't even need a sequencer. So, you know, there's some of the cool, fun things you can do with it. And you don't have to do it at 50% and have it all perfect and all that sort of stuff. You can actually have it at 39%. You can swing it, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be all those perfect numbers either. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff you got to go. I'm going to probably join Inverted Popes because I think it's time to go too. So big thank you for everyone watching. So Inverted Popes, you can watch us all go at the same time. 2 hours and 30 minutes is a good stream, guys. I think we've done well. And many thanks for everyone who supports the channel. And big thank you especially to these guys here, Darren and Andrew, because they come on and give their love each week without even... I mean, I can't even buy them a beer because they're on the other side of the world. It's crazy, isn't it? I'd love to, though. Obviously, if I ever do go to the UK, these guys are going to be well looked after in the pub.
Just buy me a PAMS and send it over.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Wishful thinking. You never know. I might be able to organise something.
Surely not. Oh, I'm upset now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we do all this. What's the hourly rate, Darren?
Do you want a tissue?
Ooh.
Nice colour. Ooh. Lime green.
Green. No, this is my glasses.
Microfiber cloth for cleaning.
Big thanks to Wagoo for the £5. Yeah, nice to have all you guys.
Darren and Andrew? Oh, I don't know, Assiohead. You need a slap.
Yeah, who are Darren and Andrew? He's been here since day one. All right, guys. All the best. All right, we're gonna say goodbye. Don't forget to check out Darren's channel because
take care, everyone.
Inky's going to be featuring on his thing tomorrow at 4:00 in the afternoon. I think it is around about then.
Yes.
Andy, go get your teeth fixed.
Big Inky track. Well,
my teeth are fixed for now.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Darren. Say again. I was talking across you. I apologise.
No, it's all right. I was just saying, it's a big track tomorrow. Video as well. DTH versus Inky. So everybody share.
We will. We will.
Will
All right.
do.
Awesome. Bye, everyone.
Take care, folks.
True to pops.